Good evening and welcome to the Bobby Moore Stand. Happy Friday, everybody. We're gonna take you on a bit of a journey tonight. I must admit, we're going to talk about. I think we're going to get relegated next season, and I'm pretty certain about it. And I'm just going to lay my case out, and we'll get into a discussion. And Chris will disagree with me, I expect, but in certain parts, other parts you definitely won't. But it'll make for an interesting discussion. And also, right at the very end, we'll discuss Brighton tomorrow briefly. And talking of Brighton, Chris, I must call out, because I don't watch many videos now, but I did watch one this week. Like I did watch one last week, and it was Gio's video, the interview with the Brighton fan that he did yesterday, which honestly, it's an emotional roller coaster. You should watch it, because the first thing this guy says is he fucking can't stand Graham Potter, hates his guts, right? And then it turns out that he hates his guts because of the way he left. He walks out on Chelsea. At the end of it, this is the funny thing. At the end of it, he said, "What would you do if Brighton bought Graham Potter back?" He said, "I'd tear my season ticket up." He said, "But what if it was just someone with Graham Potter's ability?" And he said, "Well, I'd definitely have him back. It perfectly suited for us, not suited for West Ham though, because you don't have the patience, right?" And that is absolutely bang on. I think he was a really bright bloke who knew stuff, and he was in a bit of his emotions were all over the place, you could tell, but it made for really good watching. So well done, Gio, on that interview. It's like really good content, right? The one thing he said, he was talking about, there were two bits that concerned me in the middle there. He said it was a 3-year project. The culmination of that project was really good, but there was some periods in between, like 4 months without scoring a goal at home, 4 months without winning at home, and things like that. And they're the sort of things that just tip you over the edge at West Ham. But at Brighton, they are more analytical, especially the owners, when it comes to, they actually look at stats in order to find out progression. And that's something that Potter pointed out again today or yesterday, whenever it was, in his pre-matcher. He actually said Brighton's not binary. They look at the data and they see improvements, whereas maybe usually you'd look at a game and say, that's crap, that's good. But there they look at the data and they decide whether it's good or crap, right, or okay. So it is a completely different culture. One thing he definitely said, though, he said it was 3 years in building a team. And the season before he left was when it finally clicked. There was 9 games to go, and they won 7 out of the last 9, basically beating everyone before them, and apparently played the most scintillating attacking football I've ever seen. It was amazing. So he did have a great squad, a great team, Cucurella and all the others, and I don't know how many he had responsibility for. I don't know. Not that I would assume he was just the coach there, so players were brought in for him. How much Carl McCauley had to do with it, I don't know. But anyway, that is what I wanted to say outside the topic. Chris, how you doing?
I'm all right, mate. Fucking breathe, mate. No, I'm not all right. I'm not all right, actually. I've been feeling ill, as you know, for the last couple of weeks, and I don't appear to be getting any better.
It's West Ham flu. I told you got a rare strain of West Ham flu.
West Ham flu. It lasts a couple of seasons, doesn't it? Right? When you feel shit.
Yeah,
a couple of seasons. Yeah. No, I'm not feeling so great, actually. So I'm delighted. I said to you just now, I'm delighted that we don't have a game tomorrow at home, because I genuinely do not have the energy to go to a game at the moment. I'm flat out. So delighted by that. Not excited by playing Brighton away this weekend at all. I'm really not. You kind of know my thoughts on this, and I've kind of expressed this quite loud. I have zero enthusiasm whatsoever with West Ham right now. I tolerate it. That is it. I'm tolerating it, and I want the season to end. I've had enough. I've literally had enough, and that's kind of where I am, mate. Sorry, starting on a negative note, but I've had enough.
I'm with you. Absolutely with you. I can't abide. I can't bear the thought of going back to the London Stadium again this season. I'm going to go to Spurs because it's Spurs. I ain't going to go Forest. I just can't be asked. Right?
Yeah, you are. You will.
Genuinely, I'm at that point now where I've crossed the tipping point. Right? I genuinely have. Honest, Chris. Yeah.
I guarantee you're going to be there. I guarantee it, and I'm going to take pictures of you and stick it on the next live that we do after that game, because you'll be there. There's no doubt. No one's doubting it, mate.
Whatever. So, hello to everybody in the chat. Hello, everybody that's watching. Please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Please subscribe to the channel, the Bobby Moore Stand here on YouTube. Give the video a like. That really helps us. if that's the least you do, please give it a like. Hit the bell notification icon to be reminded of ever increasing shows that we're going to put out. Isn't that right, Chris? Because football's motivated so much, isn't it? That we just feel like making shows.
Hey, look, I think the way we kind of look at this is we're not just going to put stuff out for the sake of it, just putting videos out, because there is no point of that. I think it's really just a case of, look what's going on at West Ham at the moment. There's nothing overly exciting, and there's a hell of a lot of negativity going on, in and around the club. So I don't really want to add to that as such and put, with you constant content out on a daily basis. We don't have the time for it either, right? We do have jobs. But yeah, I think no, we will do though. We definitely will put more content out. But I just think at the moment, what's the point of building on more and more negativity? I don't really want to do that. There is. Although that being said, though, Gal, I'm probably going to be quite negative tonight. So this is my.
It's fine.
I've got a hall pass tonight, mate.
I'm prepared for you, Chris. I'm prepared for you. But look, let's start with the case for sacking Potter, and there's a variety of reasons. He's shit. He's out of his depth. He's boring. He's a cook from a greasy spoon, working with top ingredients in a Michelin-starred restaurant. He cannot change. He did it at Brighton. He's not equipped to rebuild a team. He's out of his depth. He was shit at Chelsea, plus all the personal insults, right? So I think that's the case for sacking Potter from a variety of sources, no matter where you look, right? The case for sacking Lopetegui, I think it was identical, apart from swap some of the club names out. The case for sacking Moyes, it's almost identical, right? Apart from it was just focused on boring and a lot more personal, right? But 3 managers in 18 months, plus a director of football, all of whom have been blamed, and 3 of them out of the 4 have been fired for what's happened at the club, because literally people they just refuse to point the finger at David Sullivan. I don't know why that is, and I'm not gonna. Oh, you know how I feel about Sullivan and how everyone feels about Sullivan. Literally everybody knows Sullivan's a fucking root cause, but you take it out on the manager. So I've even seen a thumbnail today that again was resurrecting the images of Fulkrug and Guilherme as failures. Well, to me, they're not looking like quite such failures now. They were probably the incorrect signings, but you can't say they're failures. So, and it wasn't down to 1 or 2 positions, as I will explain. What do all the managers have in common? So they've all largely used the same midfield and attack left behind by David Moyes, which includes Bowen, Kudus, Paqueta, Souček, JWP, and occasionally in defence, it's Emerson and Soufal. They were purchased and they thrived, all of those players, in a Moyes ball system before that went wrong. Yeah. Before Declan Rice left effectively. And that's the difference of what happened 18 months ago. What happened 18 months ago to 2 years ago, straight after Prague, was Declan Rice left the building and we never recovered from it. We replaced him with Alvarez and James Ward-Prowse, neither of whom are fit to, let's be honest, lace his boots.
Yeah.
We've missed him massively because he didn't just do one job. He actually did Souček's job as well, didn't he? He did all the jobs in midfield. He pops up here, there and everywhere. And yet, I am tempted to have a go at him sometimes when he's kissing an Arsenal badge, but I can't debate the job he did for us. I really genuinely can't. And we have not shelled out. We got 105 million for him. It was probably worth even more. And then we went and bought one guy who's just been relegated with Southampton for 30 million, and another guy who's 35 million. We tried to get a bargain or 2 to replace him. 2 for 1.
I think the reality though, Gal, is you're never going to replace Declan Rice. A club like West Ham are never going to replace him, like for like player. It's just not going to happen. But when you look, as you said, those 2 players in particular that we brought in to, in effect, replace Rice, they've not even kind of scratched the surface in terms of what we wanted them to do. So, it's been a problem for us ever since Declan Rice left. It's been a major problem for us. We talk about it, I think, nearly every week around the midfield and the issues that we have there. There's no one, there is no one in that team that can really kind of take the game by the scruff of its neck and dictate play in the middle of the park. We've got no one that can do that. And it's proven evident for quite some time now since Declan Rice left. So, it's something that needs addressing. It really does.
We did drop off. You're right, John. The season before Rice left, we finished 14th, and we only stayed up by the skin of our teeth by a lucky away win from a deflected goal at Fulham. But then we did have one eye on Europe. I guess you can use that as an excuse. Let's use that as an excuse. Right? It's not an excuse in my mind. It ain't. Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, we did. But who was like consistently good for us?
Declan
Even in
Rice.
that season.
He always turned up. We would have been relegated if it wasn't for him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Had he not been there, we would have been right sucked down into the bottom three. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, that is a good riposte. I should have come back around myself, but you know, you're better than me now. So what's happened to us scoring goals? So Bowen, Kudus, Paqueta, they were, you know, more suited prior to 18 months ago, because they did drop off in the last few months of the Moyes tenure. They were more suited to the Moyes counter-attacking system, to my mind, at least that they loved being deployed in that way for West Ham. Paqueta on the left was probably a good thing for him. We were all moaning about, oh, you're wasting him, you're strangling him, put him out on the left, put him in the middle where he can spray balls here, there, and everywhere. Well, it ain't really worked, has it? I mean, it works occasionally, but it ain't really worked. Kudus on the right, when you've got Bowen on the right already, you know, what one of them are you going to use? I don't know. So you end up putting Kudus through the middle when he wants to play on the right, or you put him on the left when he wants to play on the right. He visibly sulks when he's put out of position. That's what I see anyway. Bowen is not a striker, no matter how much he wants to be. And also, you know, Antonio, when he played, he occupied defenders, which is the defenders who are now getting in the face of Bowen and Kudus, right?
I don't necessarily think that Kudus sulks, Gal, about playing in certain positions. Maybe in some games you could say, I know you do, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I just do not. I mean, look, arguably he plays better when he's coming in off the right, in my opinion, but I just don't think he wants to be here. It's as simple as that. And hence the reason, why the performance levels have dropped off. I don't necessarily think that, you know, the solution is we play Kudus in his favoured position and suddenly he's going to become a world beater again. The reality for me is that I just do not think he wants to be here. So you can see what I've done. He's not on my wall anymore, mate. He's gone. He's fucking gone. Which he will be. Which he will be at the end of the season.
I agree with you, because I agree with you on two counts, because I do agree he can play in multiple positions. I think he's using that moving out position as a reason. Either that, or he's trying not to get injured, or whatever. I don't know what it is, but you know, let's think back. What also happened in the last couple of years, right? What also happened? David Sullivan responded to the fans, apparently, decided to tell David Moyes to play a better brand of football, a more possession-based brand of football. And this is after, I remind you, he ditched the brilliant Sebastian Haller for fuck all, and he gave away pretty much Felipe Anderson, who went on to be quite good again for Lazio. I think he went back to, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, Sullivan, he pushed Moyes to adapt that sign of that a more possession-based style, even though Moyes was clearly going to push back against it. And they went out and they signed Scamacca, Benrahma, Aguerd, ridiculous signings of Vlasic, of Kera, all these players who were more suited to a football style rather than backs to the wall, sitting on the edge of your box, especially Kera, right? Vlasic was played as a left winger. He was never a left winger. We had him as a creative midfielder. We had Fornals who we ain't got anymore. We had Lanzini who we haven't got. We had an abundance of number 10s. Now we've got none. Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, we've probably got one, and that's probably Paqueta. That's it.
Yeah. We made a loss on pretty much all of those players we signed. You know, we might make some money back on Aguerd, but we made a loss on Benrahma for sure, Scamacca for sure, Felipe Anderson, that was ridiculous. Haller, definitely. I mean, it's just money wastage, right? And the reason that happened is because Moyes refused to change, or he couldn't change. I don't know what one it is, but he definitely went back to the comfort blanket of negative football.
I think it's a bit of both. I think that he didn't want to change. He tried to, but he couldn't change. You know, he couldn't change because, you know, Leopard never changes spots. And I think with Moyes, he's only kind of used to, and he's only effective playing one simple style of football, you know, the Moyes ball that we all know. So a lot of those players, unfortunately, they were not suited to a David Moyes style of play. Hence the reason why they bombed quite, you know, catastrophically, because they just weren't what they which is an annoying thing, because they are players that if you go back in history, they probably would have excelled under other managers, you know, other styles of play that we've, you know, kind of adopted over the years. But under Moyes, absolutely not. So it was almost like, you know, wrong time, or right place, wrong time, or whatever way you want to call it, right? This is the problem with some of those players. Had they joined at other stages, then perhaps they would have been better for us.
And by the way, if you're wondering why we're talking about Moyes, we're also going to talk about Lopetegui and Sullivan some more, because that's what's got us where we are. And then you've got to ask yourself, is it really fair to blame successive managers and demand another fucking poor sucker to come in and take the mantle, who ain't going to be the manager that we want, right? So we've been moaning about him in 3 months' time as well. So what happened to Moyes, going back to this, we won the Conference League, last minute, great night, but we were smack bang in relegation trouble until a ball went in off someone's arse at Fulham, right? When Moyes went over and clapped Sullivan for keeping him, right? What did he do when Starting arrived after that? He in that summer, if you remember, him and Starting arrived with separate drivers to the Emirates to watch Fofana in midfield, who absolutely dominated, scored a goal. I think he set up the other one. He pissed all over the Arsenal midfield.
I remember.
Moyes came to the conclusion he's not good enough. He's not ready yet for the Premier League, because he was on this thing about British players only with Premier League experience, just to spite the German. And he wanted Maguire and McTominay. McTominay's gone on to be a good player, as expected. No one really had anything against McTominay. It was Maguire. It was a fucking nightmare, and he continues to be a nightmare. But that was to double down on the Moyes ball style of football. We all knew that. He was putting this team of players in place that literally no other manager could get a tune out of.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I can remember that clearly. I think when we were linked with those players, it was just typical of the type of play, type of style of football that we were, playing at West Ham. So I think we were glad when we didn't sign them. But then if you look at it conversely, with the players that we did sign instead of them, they haven't really worked out. They haven't really worked out because they're not suited to this style of, the style of football that a lot of fans want. They're not, because the managers aren't capable of delivering that style of football.
They're not. But another thing, and keep this in your mind, all these, as we go through this, who let this happen? Who sponsored this? Who funded it? It was fucking David Sullivan, right? Nobody could have done it without him.
Yeah, listen, you know my thoughts around this, because I said this last time, and I'll keep repeating myself on this again and again. I'm not a big fan of Potter, but what I will do is
let's not do Potter yet.
But I'm getting onto that, right, Gal? Yeah. So I'm not, but going back to my point, this is a culmination. Okay, so you talk about Moyes, you talk about Lopetegui, and also obviously we'll come on to Potter as well.
Yeah,
this is a culmination of all of those managers over a period of time. That's basically got us to this position right now. This woeful football with this pretty woeful squad of players. Uninspiring squad of players that do not want to be here, players that are aging. This has been coming. You can't relate to it. So as you said, and I absolutely agree with you, this is all stemming from the very top. It's that fucking little dwarf David Sullivan. He is the one to blame for this. I think people know that, right? People do know this, but the easiest person to blame straight away is the manager and players.
Take the easy option.
Always. But the problem here is that if you bomb out one of the managers that we have, if it's going to be Potter or even anyone else, who are we going to replace him with?
Well, it'll be another choice. It'll be another one of the same template. It won't be one that anyone wants, right?
Then we'll do the same thing again, and we'll do the same thing again. So until you cut the head off the fucking snake, we're going to have the same shit again and again and again. It's going to repeat.
Yeah,
that is the problem. That is the fundamental problem. That is for me, the only problem, if I'm being honest with you, because it stems from the top, and then suddenly it becomes a multitude of different problems as a result of David Sullivan. Get rid of him, get him out of the fucking club, then suddenly you could be talking about a whole different West Ham, a West Ham that we can relate to. But whilst he's still here and continues to be here, you just can't relate, mate. And this is the reason why I'm so fucking negative about West Ham right now.
And this is a problem. And Pica, I assume, is another manager. I don't know. It's our only hope. But whoever that is, he ain't fucking coming at West Ham. Right.
No, and Pica, what are you talking about? That's fucking Sullivan's bird, mate.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, you might get the job next time. I fucking forgot, didn't I? Idiot. Oopsie. Sorry. She's our only hope. You're right. And I know where your mind's going with that one. She's our only hope.
Yeah.
Go on then, Peter. Go on. Come on, Gary. Sort your brain out. Right. He kept players for too long. And again, another deliberate ploy. So why buy a new right back when Moyes is totally dedicated to Vladimir Soufal? Why buy a new left back when he was running Cresswell and Emerson into the ground? Emerson, who we knew couldn't defend but could go forward quite well. Zuma, we bought a player for 30 million whose knees were shattered, right? We gave Ings the fucking long contract on megabucks. We employed, in Pellegrini's day, Noble's golf buddy, Jack Wilshere, right? Who barely kicked a ball for us. These are, and Souček, playing a new possession style of football that he apparently tried to play. Souček still started every game or most games. He sort of went out of the team and come back in, but he weren't out for very long. And then once you've done that, you've admitted defeat, because we know full well that if you're going to try and play a possession game or any sort of brand of possession of football that involves passing, Souček's not your man, is he?
No, he's absolutely not. But isn't it quite telling that he always gets into the team eventually? If he's dropped, he will end up back in the team, right? And for me, I look at it for one reason, well, a couple of reasons, right? He does have the ability. He has got this innate ability to be in the right place at the right time and score the odd goal here or there, right? He does. He's very good at that.
It's a desperation point.
Yeah, in terms of his technical capabilities and, in terms of him being a total footballer, absolutely not. But the one thing that he does bring to West Ham that unfortunately so many other players do not bring is fucking work rate. He works his body. He generally, not all the time. You can't fault him for that. And isn't that telling? Because that just goes to show how not demotivated, but how these players are just not really up for the challenge of playing for West Ham. They don't give a shit. Most of them don't even give a shit out. They don't.
Can I tell you, even Soufal and Souček, the two, die-hard West Ham fans that they are, legends, right? The minute they're left out of the team, they're talking to the Czech media. Souček did it the other day, talking about the Czech media about leaving. If I'm not going to be played, I'm leaving. Well, if every player in your fucking squad is a senior player, close to or over the age of 30, they're all going to have egos. They're all going to think they deserve to play. There's no real juniors in there, right? It's like, to me, I'd love to see the dynamics of what goes on in that dressing room, because I bet it's a fucking mess. And we know full well that mess was only made a lot worse by Lopetegui. But let's finish with Moyes, right? His epitaph, right? He ditched Lanzini and Fornals, and Fornals, he swapped him for, a deadbeat. It left us with an aging team of crocs that he likely was the only one who could get a tune out of, and he knew that. To me, that was deliberate, which is another reason why I turned on him. It was all about undermining Stein at the end. That's all it was about. That whole season was dedicated to undermining Stein in my eyes. But it was a little game between him and Sullivan. You remember the three-way split about two votes to sign someone? Yeah. What's a load of old bollocks, From the minute Stein stepped in the door, Sullivan was planning how he was going to use him as the scapegoat, because that's all that really matters. He's happy at the moment because everyone's blaming Potter. No one's blaming him. Again. Are we stupid?
It is surprising. I mean, I think people are, but it's not as kind of prominent as it typically is. It has been in the past. With Sully, it hasn't been, which does surprise me for sure. Yeah, it does.
But what was the result of that last season with Moyes? It was a fucking awful season. It was a good first half season. We had some great results, right? But it was a terrible season. And somehow we finished 9th.
Yeah.
And that's what people look back at. Oh, you finished 9th. I read an article, Richard Keys today, rubbing our nose in it. But anyway, what happened to that team that Moyes left behind? So the main first team players, apart from the knackered ones, are still here. Bowen, Kudus, Paqueta, Souček, JWP, Soufal, Souček, Mavropanos. They all feature regularly under Lopetegui and now Potter. The Moyes ball team is still here, right? And still being used. So how did Lopey try and address it? How did he try and address it, right? So he tried to address it by using a form of Moyes ball. And that's exactly what we've seen from Potter as well. Tried, because that is the way those players want to be deployed. I'm guessing, it's the only way in some circumstances they can be deployed. He was given the option to bring in a couple of players, right? Who did he sign? As first team players, he signed Rodriguez, 2 slow for the Prem. Soler, 2 average for the Prem. Kilman, honestly, I think he's rubbish. I've got to be honest. I've made my mind up about him now. I heard him speak. He's as meek as anything. There's not a leadership bone in his body. He needs to be led. He'd probably be good as a number 2, someone to lead him. You ain't getting that leadership out of Todibo. So them two together in a 2 is a disaster to my mind. They're going to lean on AWB to bail them out every time. They really are. Thank God for AWB. We would got relegated without him. You know that.
Yeah, well, look, mate, there's a lot you're throwing at me here, and I would agree with a lot of what you're saying. Kilman, is he rubbish? I don't think he's rubbish. I don't think he's necessarily suited to playing in the back 2.
He's a 20 million number 2, someone who plays as part of a pair. He ain't the leader, is he?
No, look, he's not a leader at all. I mean, we've had this conversation before. I mean, as you say, he's incredibly quiet. I've seen his post-match interviews. You think, Christ almighty. I mean, he's very, very quiet. So the fact that he was Wolves captain is quite surprising. I don't think he's rubbish. I don't think he's rubbish at all. I just do not feel that. I feel he started the season pretty well and he's faded off quite disastrously.
That may have been a bit harsh. That may have been a bit harsh. So I shouldn't have used that word, but I would say he is substandard for 40 million.
Yeah, totally agree with you. He's a 15, 20 million pound player at best. That's how I see him.
Yeah, he's slightly better than Mavropanos.
Slightly better than Mavropanos. Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, I think he is a good player, but I think he would
Yeah.
only be suited with a certain style and a certain type of player that he's working with him.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm still unsure whether a back two, you know, like a centre back pairing of two. I don't know whether that is really suited to him or whether he's better in a back three.
Yeah.
It appears that he is better in a back three, but maybe he's not so good in a back two because it's Tadibo and they don't click together. I don't know. Is the truth.
And this is my next point. Lopetegui even fucked us by making Bowen the captain.
Yeah, well,
because he didn't need the weight on his shoulders. He had a terrible start to the season. Took him ages to get used to wearing the armband. If I was Potter, what I'd do in the summer, I'd have a quiet word with him and I'd say, look, you can be club captain. You're just not going to be captain on the pitch. That's what I'd say.
Well, I think that was a decision made by default of the fact that he was essentially, or is, kind of a bit of a West Ham cult hero because he's been scoring a lot of goals for us. Obviously, scored the winner in the Europa Conference League. He's been at West Ham for probably one of the longest periods of time, as opposed to many of our other players, because you're not going to give it to Antonio, you're not giving it to Creswell because they ain't going to start games, for instance, at the start of the season, or when Bone, got the captaincy. So I think he was just the easy option, but he wasn't the right option. That's the problem.
Option.
But then you kind of have to ask the question, say, well, who was the right option then? Because actually, I don't even know. I honestly do not know who I could actually, fully kind of lay my hat on and say, yeah, he'd be a great captain. He's someone that I think could lead the team. I don't know who that would be, Gal.
Well, we have no leaders. That is the thing. We had loads of leaders, and now we've got no leaders. We had Dawson. Zuma was a leader, not a good one, but he was a leader. He was a centre half. He was vocal, right? Not even our keepers are vocal. They're as quiet as anything, right? There is nobody opening their mouth on that pitch. Literally no one. So this is what happened. How did it end, the Lopetegui reign? Done Moyes, do Lopetegui. Now, how did it end? So after Alvarez, it fell out with Moyes previously and then fell out with Loppe and got himself sent off twice. And Kudus petulantly got himself banned for 6 games. And Paqueta never turned up for most of the reign. Bowen didn't contribute for about the first 7-8 games while he was getting used to the weight of the captaincy. Huge fallouts, massively demotivated team, a massive language barrier introduced, some big egos like a World Cup winner brought in, a former Spanish captain brought in on loan, widespread incompetence from Lopetegui and his staff. He definitely deserved to be fired, that's for sure. I said a few things last week about maybe the players made him look worse than he really was. But no, in hindsight, he'd done that himself. So I'm not going to revise my opinion of Lopetegui. I thought he was awful. But he was also only allowed to bring in 3 of his own players, clearly for minimal money, right? Because he got Kilman for the 40. He didn't choose Tadibo, and he didn't want to play him either. He didn't choose Somerville, and he didn't want to use him either, right? These are things he was cutting his nose off to spite his face, Lopetegui, right? Which is similar to what Moyes done previously, because the German signings, they were pushing back on him. Moyes didn't play Kudus, didn't start him for 10 games, left him on the bench, even after he scored a hat-trick the previous week in the Champions League, fully fit, but had to be Premier League fit, according to Moyes. What's a load of old nonsense?
So let me ask you a question, right?
Yeah.
Bearing in mind what you said about Lopetegui, bearing in mind what you said about Moyes, and I'm not going to go as far back as Moyes. Let's just talk about Lopetegui, for instance, and this season, currently.
Yeah.
Would you, with what you know now, would have held on to Lopetegui as manager for this season and then started afresh next season?
No. I would have got rid of him earlier and given Potter or whoever it was the full fucking transfer window to bring in some players that he needed. Instead, it was left that whole charade. If you remember, brought him in midway through the window, wasted the next couple of weeks fucking moaning about Stighton all over the media until they bombed him out and bought in McCauley, and then there was like a couple of days left. Right?
The reason I'm asking you this question, is because if you look at the league table right now,
it's all orchestrated and deliberate. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, Gal, is if you look at the league table right now, we are in no danger of getting relegated, right? There are 3 unbelievably much worse teams than us this season.
This season,
this season alone. Okay,
yeah.
So if you look at it objectively, by bringing in someone like Graham Potter, why could we have not? I'm not saying I would have wanted this, by the way, but we would have pretty much been in the same situation had we kept on kept hold of Lopetegui. Might have even been a little bit higher, Gal. You never know. We might.
I don't think so. I don't think so, Chris, because we were getting bashed up
so you
every
think?
week.
Yeah, but you think we'd be in the bottom three? Like you think we'd be in the bottom three?
We got relegated had we kept Lopetegui. Yeah,
I don't know. I think we'd
got rid of him.
I think we'd be in a similar situation to what we are now. I think we would still probably be in and around 17th place. I don't believe that we'd be in the bottom three because I just do not believe that we are worse than those three teams at the bottom.
Who would we have beaten that we haven't beaten?
Look, I'm not going to go for fucking. I'm not going to go.
No, I'm saying we want to beat Arsenal away.
Yeah, but look at Potter's record though since he's come in. Seriously, so you can't tell me that Lopetegui could have done much worse than that either. Yes, we were conceding an absolute shed load of goals, right?
It's a terrible record, but you're focusing on the record rather than the incidents within that record. Like, for instance, he's only had a striker for 3 games.
I'm not saying Lopetegui was a good manager. I'm not saying I would want to hold on to him. What I'm saying is, if you look at it from a different angle here, had we held on to Lopetegui till the end of the season, probably ended up in the same position that what we are in now, and what we probably will end the season now.
Yeah, maybe.
No, hear me out. Then we would have been in a position, perhaps going into the new season, get rid of Lopetegui at the end of this season, and then go and get someone better than Potter that can actually go out and build the team, rather than get someone halfway through the season that is going to get the same fucking shit that Lopetegui got as well. You know, so I don't. Can you see the angle I'm coming at here? It's not saying I think Lopetegui's the manager.
I can, but this is one. I mean, to my mind, he was done because there was chaos in the dressing room, and we knew that he'd fallen out for fucking everybody, right? Fallen out with everybody, and he, it was chaos. We were getting bashed up. Look at the results just before he left. We were just letting in loads and loads of goals, just like we were the previous season. We're getting slaughtered all the time. Now, we did win some games. There was that stunning result and performance up at Newcastle, for instance. Great result and performance. He wouldn't have repeated that at home against Newcastle, in my mind. I just don't. I don't think you can take away the credit from Potter of getting us into a position where we're a little bit secure. See, that's the point that everyone seems to be missing in my eyes, is that we're not going down. I think we were going down, and we're going to disagree on that one, aren't we? So
yeah, I can't give credit to Potter for keeping us up. Definitely not, because we're in 17th fucking place, and there are 3 really shitty teams in the Premier League this season. Arguably, probably 2 of the worst teams I've seen play in Premier League history. You know, and obviously Southampton clearly are one of those 3 teams, one of those 2 teams.
No,
so
you're right.
To give them credit, I mean,
they've relegated themselves. Yeah,
fuck me, Gal. We're really scraping the barrel if we're saying, yeah, well done, Potter, you've kept us up. Because with that squad of players, I'm sorry, he should be doing better. I know we've had this conversation about style of play and everything else, right? Maybe these players can only play a counter-attacking style of football, etc., etc.
So what's your point then?
Well, my point being is I don't think you give credit to Potter that much.
So if these players are all focused on the exit and they're fucking checked out, you expect Potter to perform magic tricks and turn them into delivering like they did under Moyes?
No, but I do expect Potter to do better. Right, at the end. I do expect Potter to do better, and I do expect him to get more out of his players, and I expect him to fucking basically give a set of instructions to his players that those players will respect and deliver on the pitch. And if they're not, then fucking bomb them out and stick them on the bench. Because the way I would see it is,
I agree with that.
You know, look, I fucking got rid of Kudus off my fucking wall. I got rid of him for a reason, because he's a fucking lazy bastard, right?
Yeah,
he is. People will turn around and say, you know what? People double up on him now, and yeah, they do. But he has got the ability. We've seen it before. People doubled up on him last season as well at times, but he still had the ability to put in good performances. This season, he's been consistently shit all year, right? He has been. For me, if you Graham Potter, you look at, I would have so much respect for a manager to come in and say, do you know what? Yeah, we've got players here that are so-called superstars. They think they fucking run the place, like Kudus or whoever it's going to be. Fuck off, sit on the bench. I'm going to bring one of the youngsters in. And as a West Ham fan, Gal, but here's the thing though, Gal. West Ham fans, we love that about West Ham, that we bring through our youth players and give them a chance. Now, I'm not saying that is going to be the answer, and that is going to be it.
Knowing West Ham fans, I would do it all day long, because the fans would get behind it for sure.
Of course, you would, mate. If we're playing Brighton at home tomorrow, and I kind of knew, and I turned up and he's playing like a Lewis Orford, or he's playing a Skulls, and he's playing, you know, all these young players, I'd be like, fuck yes, you know, and he's throwing Kudus on the bench. Fucking do that, because I know Kudus is a great player. Yes, he's got ability, but he hasn't shown it. So fuck him off. He clearly ain't going to be here next season. I don't want him in the team, Gal. I know there are some players that we're going to have to. There are some players that we're going to have to play, because we don't really have enough quality within our squad to compete in games by playing loads of, you know, like, I don't know, playing Andy Irving or Danny Ings, or we can't play all those players. I get that. But there are certain players that I would absolutely fucking bin right now. Kudus is one of them. I loved him as a player. I think he's a fantastic footballer, but he ain't going to be for West Ham moving forward. So fuck him off.
All right, let me just remind you, on 29th of December, we lost 5-0 at home to Liverpool, one of many thumpings. The following game, we lost 4-1 away to Man City, didn't turn up. Then Potter was brought in, 10th of January, third of the way through the window, right? He was brought in the day before, 9th of January. He had to put a team together in 24 hours. They lost 2-1, unluckily, due to a decision, away to Villa. We beat Fulham unexpectedly. We were shit against Palace. We drew brilliantly away to Villa. Should have won, right? We rolled over Leicester. We beat Arsenal. We lost at home appallingly to Brentford. We played well away to Chelsea. We did all right, yeah. And then you look at, what's happened from that point on. We drew away to Everton, which again, we should have won, but we didn't. We lost at home to Newcastle, who went on to do what they did, right? We lost away to Wolves, who've won 5 in a row on fire. We drew at home to Bournemouth. We lost away to Liverpool 2-1 just about. And the worst result of all probably is the 1-1 draw against Southampton. So when you look at those results and you consider the players he's had available, to me, I don't see what else he could have done apart from maybe get a draw at Wolves, beat Southampton. I mean, we should be 3 or 4 points better off, right? I think Brentford, we can never fucking beat those bastards. And tomorrow's another team we don't generally beat, apart from we did last year, didn't we? Yeah, at Brighton.
Because I know we've had this conversation on a regular basis. Like,
so I'm just saying, how shit actually is it? How shit has it been? Is it appalling? I don't think it is when you look at those results, Chris.
Gal, I get what you're saying, and I know that we have this conversation pretty much on every show, and we break down the games that Potter's been in charge, and we say, well, actually, you know what, he had a difficult situation there because he had players injured and this. But now you're talking over a span of how many games he's been in charge? It's 13 games that he's been in charge now. So suddenly, I don't think you can. Oh yeah, well, he's unlucky there. This year we did play well, we didn't get a result there. We only got a point at Everton, but we probably should have got more. The reality is we didn't.
He started his striker in the last one. The fact is, we have competed apart from. To my mind, we didn't compete with Newcastle. I don't care what Potter says. We didn't compete with Brentford, and we fucked up against Palace, right? They're the 3 standout ones. Southampton was just like rubbing salt into the wounds. If I was to pick out 4 games, they would be the games. I've seen us lose so many times to Wolves, it didn't surprise me. And they're on fire at the moment. But that was a piss take the other day, and it was a piss take. He picked his best team pretty much that he had available, and those fucking players didn't put in a shift. You know it. You were there, right?
Yeah, I know that. I don't think he picked the best team that he had available, though. I think playing James Ward-Prowse is a fucking recipe for disaster. I do.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck's going. Maybe that he didn't have the option but to play him. Bearing in mind that maybe there was a bit of a falling out with Alvarez. Possibly. We won't really ever know. But honestly, at this moment in time, I'm of the thinking, Gal. Maybe this is being a little bit too harsh, but I feel like just fuck the whole midfield off. Bring in Andy Irving. Bring these players in, because they can't do much worse than that. I saw like people are calling James Ward-Prowse James Backward-Prowse.
Because he's got no.
Because he's fucking tiny and he passes the ball backwards all the time. He doesn't really add anything. I mean, if you look at the performance he's put in, I think there's been 1 or 2 times he said, he's actually been really good. I think when he came back to us, the first couple of games he played, we're like, you know what, he's adding something. But that just goes to show how shit we are in midfield. We're saying, Ward-Prowse is playing well. For me, he's not the player that we need in that team. He's not.
No, we need someone with. He's definitely not. We're going to come to that in a second, right? But look, he's got in his squad Moyes ball players, and he's got Lopetegui ball players. He's got Soler, Rodriguez, Kilman, a broken Somerville, Noah Antonio, Fulkrug has just come back, Guilherme, who he's made something out of that Lopetegui couldn't, and all the others I listed earlier, right? He's basically got somebody else's, not only somebody else's team, but somebody else has contributed to that as well, right? He's got a second-hand team going on there. And what's he been given? A broken Irishman to try and fix it, who's fucking a waste of space. So I won't go on about how good Potter is, because I don't think he has been. I just read out 4 games specifically that I think we've been terrible in. And that last one was the worst, in my opinion, because at least Brentford are good. At least Palace are quite good. But Southampton are shit. And that was terrible, right? So what got us here? What made Sullivan think, I know, we've got enough safety. He'll keep us up. We'll leave it until the last minute, maybe getting a little loan because we're not in immediate danger, and we'll let him fucking die on his ass because I've given him no players. I'll try and get him to get a tune out of this bunch of muppets. Yeah. Whose decision was that? David fucking Sullivan, right? So what's needed, Chris? What's needed? I mean, let me tell you what I think is needed to start with, right? I think Potter, to have a chance, needs to bring at least 5 of his own first team players into that first team, not squad players. 5 first team players supplemented by backup players.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think we need a keeper. We need a left back. We'll get a backup right back, but a left back. We need a whole new midfield and another striker at least, right? At least.
Yeah.
So they're the first choices, right? Now, what do you think's needed?
Well, I would agree with you. I think we need a complete overhaul of our squad. That's for sure. I think, left back for sure, because presumably Emerson will be on his way. I do feel that we need another centre back in there, but someone that actually is going to go straight in to defence. Starting defender, first name on the team sheet, kind of centre half. We definitely need that. Midfield, absolutely. We do need. Fuck me. I mean, again, on the basis. I know. Well, because you look at all these kind of hypothetical scenarios, but they're not hypothetical because I actually think they're going to happen. Like Kadu's going, Paqueta going, all these types of players. So you're right. I would agree with you. The only thing I'd probably slightly disagree with you, and I think it's probably more than 5. You probably need 6 or 7. Not
I'm
5.
not talking about outgoings. I'm talking about incomings.
That's what I'm saying. Incomings. He needs. I mean, if you're talking about 5 players coming straight into the team,
first team.
I think you're right. I do think you're right because clearly you're talking about a midfield, maybe a 3. That's 3, first of all. Okay. You're talking about defender and a goalkeeper. That's 5. And a striker. That's 6. So I think it's the bare minimum of 5 that he's going to need to bring into that squad. But the thing is, where does the problem lie? Once again, it's fucking Sullivan. It doesn't matter who is the manager here. It does not matter because no matter who it is,
will it happen?
See, this is the thing. For as long as he's at the club, for as long as he's
down next year,
mate, I agree with you on that as well because it worries me. It really does worry me because you're talking about a complete shift of that whole squad. Shifting out, 7, 8, 9 players.
Nobody does that. Nobody replaces the whole fucking team in one go. Nobody.
No, but then when you look at the chemistry that we have in our squad right now, which is pretty much non-existent,
it can't get worse, right?
If you look at what Fulham was the other day, we got half the team want to attack, the other half don't want to attack. It's like, no, you defend and you attack as a team. We've got no fucking chemistry in that team. So actually, even if you did bring in 5, 6 players into that squad, could you say, well, do you know what? It's going to take a while to build up that chemistry. Fuck me, it could be worse than what the chemistry is right now. It is my opinion. So I do worry though. You're right though. I mean, I definitely would agree and say that if we to ship out all of these players, bring in a whole heap of new players into the squads, that could be a recipe for disaster. You only need to look at an example being maybe Nottingham Forest. Do you remember when they brought all of those players in, like shitloads of players? They got promoted to the Premier League and they signed loads of players, and they very nearly got relegated. Very nearly got relegated. That could happen to us if we try and bring in an influx of new players.
It's a really tough job.
And if you get those players wrong, then you're really fucked as well.
And this is the problem, right? What that Brighton, going back to Gio's interview, what that Brighton thing said that was really pertinent. He said, a manager of Potter's, ability would be perfect for us, and I'd jump at it, but he wouldn't be perfect for you because you got no patience. And he's absolutely right, because our fan base will not settle for a season of starting all over again and establishing the team and everything else. They want to win from day one, right? They want to win from day one using flair, attacking football. Anything less than that, people are going to be losing their shit.
I agree and also disagree in some respects, right?
Why do you disagree? Go on.
The only reason I disagree is I don't think all fans don't. I don't think we can say that the vast majority of fans think that way.
Not all fans. I mean the vocal ones on social media, not the ones inside the ground.
Yeah, totally, right. So I think the vast majority of fans, in my opinion, would be more than happy and willing to accept an overhaul of the squad, but seeing essentially kind of plans to like building blocks coming into place. So we're actually building something that is eventually going to get better. We can see gradual improvements, right? You always talk about iterative improvements. If they can see that, I think we'll be happy. If they can see that, we're making bold decisions to ship out all these fucking big time players and bringing in hard-working players with a bit of flair. I'm not just saying I just want to get a load of people and they're going to work their bollocks off. Yeah, I do want that, but I want to see a bit of flair as well. But if we can see that we're trying to build something for the future, bringing in younger players as well. I said to you, right, I think it was yesterday we were having a chat when we last night. Yeah. One of these seasons that I look back on, I think was really quite exciting for me was the season not the season the season we got promoted back to the Premier League, right? So when we finished 9th, got into the FA Cup final, our first season back in the Premier League after being down in the Championship, right?
Yeah.
You look at those players that we brought, and you look at the ages of those players as well.
It was
Nigel
amazing.
Rio-Coco, Marlon Harewood, you know, you got Matty Etherington that failed in the Prem under Spurs, did a great job on the Champ, got us back up into the Premier League, right? There were so many players there. Bobby Zamora. That season, we had young players that had a point to prove. That's what we need to bring back into our squad. That's what we need to bring back to West Ham. Players that have got a fucking point to prove, not players that will use us as a stepping stone and are here for a fucking, you know, late paycheck or whatever. You know, that's what we don't want. So we need to change the dynamic of the type of individual we're bringing into West Ham.
I totally agree. And that's one of my points, right? No arseholes. Do not sign arseholes. Sign people who want to, and that comes from signing players of the correct age who can be adapted and built into a team. Don't expect to walk straight into the first team, right? It's got to be under 26. So they've got several years to run. You cannot give someone who's 28 a 4-year contract, because guess what? They're going to be 31 and 32 before that runs out. What is the point? And they're going to be expensive. So why do you want to pay 31, 32-year-old wages? You know, why? Why are we paying 100 grand a week fucking Fabianski, a 40-year-old goalkeeper, as good as he's been? What's the point in that?
Which goes back to my point, Gal. You look at that season with those players, that squad of players that we had. We're bringing people like Dean Ashton, you know, all those types of players, young players, points to prove, got their whole careers ahead of them. They want to do a job, right? We haven't really been signing those players. It worries me that sometimes we do depend and rely on signing these foreign imports that are apparently doing a good job over in, I don't know, the Bundesliga or Liga 1 or whatever, come over here and say, oh, yeah, we're going to go to West Ham for 1 season, 2 seasons, and we'll fuck off. You know what? There's people at the moment, and this bugs me, guys.
No stepping stone players. No about to be superstars like Kudus, who we know Arsenal want. Go and fucking find someone who hasn't made it yet and needs to make it, and we can keep for a couple of years, see him mature like a fine wine and grow the value. So don't spend 30, 40, 50 million up front on a Paqueta, on a Kudus, right? Don't do that. It was great accept season, but, you know.
I can accept if players will use us as a stepping stone, because that's the reality. We are West Ham, and if they do suddenly, I don't want to say outgrow, but if they aren't winning things, and I totally understand, like Declan Rice, if we, you know, you can't blame him for moving on to try and change runners, right?
I don't blame him.
So I don't blame that. But when you look at some of the players that we have signed, and there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, Lucas Paqueta, he's playing well again. He's playing well again," and of course, he's looking a bit better. He does do. He has these odd moments where it really fucking frustrates me. I know you called it out last week as well. He does do that. But the thing that I can't fucking escape from is the fact that he wants to go, right? He's still here by default. He's here by default because of the whole fucking betting scandal.
Fucking shit that he had a part in making. If he's guilty or not guilty, he had a part in making, and he's ruined a couple of seasons for us because he was our playmaker.
If that wasn't there, right? If that whole betting scandal wasn't there, he'd be at Man City right now. He'd be over there, right?
Now he thinks, oh, little West Ham, I'm too big for him again now, just like 2 years ago.
Exactly, right? And then you look at someone like Edson Alvarez. So he nearly fucked off the Man United at the start of the season if he had his way, right?
He got injured, Chris. He got injured on Mexico duty, which is why the deal fell through. Kudus apparently should have been off in January. Didn't happen. We put him up for sale, right?
See, that's the problem for me, because like I said, I'm okay with players moving on if they're going to move on to bigger things and they've actually earned their stripes at West Ham. But for me, earning your stripes at West Ham is not playing 1 good season and fucking off. It's giving at least 2 to 3 seasons for West Ham and then going on. I can accept that. But not players that are giving 1 season.
We're not Brighton. I'm not having
that.
Does that. And this is, when I read the translation of Tim Stighton's interview, he was actually quite, I've got to say, I've got to revise my opinion of him, because he was talking about West Ham as a tiny little club.
Oh, really?
He came from fucking Bayer Leverkusen. You've got one man and their dog, a modern club who have come around the last couple of years with some great sponsorship from Bayer. But who fucking employed him if that was his attitude? Give you a clue. Right. So someone like that, and that is the attitude of the players as well. A lot of these players, they don't believe that West Ham can do anything other than counter-attack football and be successful. That's what I'm saying. That's my opinion. But when you look at the squads, you know, we could feasibly get rid of Kudus, Paqueta have got to go. Alvarez got to go. Agued was pointless bringing him back. Ward-Prowse off. Mavropanos, off you go. Suchek, bye-bye. Emerson, bye-bye. Rodriguez, don't let Dora at you on the way. Fabianski, no. Soler sent back. Zuma released. Ferguson, obviously. The only one I'd keep, really, and that's to help Skulls, is Cresswell.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's it.
Bad, isn't it?
That's it.
Well, that's the thing. You could count on one
clear
hand.
Out of the Moyes Ball fucking squad. Gone. And I'd even consider Sadibo and Kilman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm holding back on that at the moment. I think Kilman's had a bit of a disaster second half of the season for sure.
Yeah.
But really, I could count on one hand. I could probably count on half a hand how many players I'd say, do you know, I really want them to stay. That's the
Yeah, I wish
truth.
I knew the character of these players because I could make a more
Yeah.
informed decision. Like Todibo, is he committed to West Ham, or did he see this as a stepping stone to his Man U move? Because
We'll
if
never
that's
know
the
this, will we?
case,
That's the thing.
yeah, did he fuck Lopetegui about? I know he had a bust up with him. He might have done, right? Kilman, he'll be all right alongside a leader. If there's a leader there, he'll be all right. He needs to be led. He's not a leader. So, yeah, I'd keep him. But I think Todibo is up for grabs because, in theory, we could get decent money back for him. I'd only get, someone's mentioned here, John's mentioned Aguero, have him back if he was willing to return. No, it can't be like that. He's got to be desperate to return, John. He's got to want to come and play for West Ham. And that's what I think the attitude is the key here. We cannot have Billy Big Bollocks, and we can't have him coming back and have a couple of bad games and I fucking always hate this place, didn't want to come back here, right? Sometimes it's best to just put those people behind you, move on. We'll get good money for him anyway, right?
But again, we don't know if that's factually true with him.
Yeah.
Maybe he just had that falling out with Moyes. I know that Moyes left, but we don't actually know. And then obviously, we don't know. We just don't know. But I would like him back.
Yeah, I don't want to slag the players off, right? So, it has come across this in some ways, right? I've chosen the wrong words a few times, but Todibo, I don't know his character. I don't know what he's like. So, like Claire says here, that might be true. We might not have to read something else into it, right? So
I'll keep Todibo. I would actually keep Todibo because I think there's a player there.
I think he's class. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
only if he wants to stay though, Chris. Only if he wants to play for us, right? That is my only. If someone don't want to play for us, off you go. Bye bye.
I think the problem is if you look at West Ham and if you're a player at West Ham and you say, Jesus Christ, we finished 17th this season, right? We should be better than that. Maybe I will fuck off. Then fuck off. Don't stick around. You want players that are thinking, do you know what? We finished 17th. We are so much better than that. I want to stick around and I want to be part of a project. But the key thing here is understanding what that project is, what the manager is outlining to the players and to the players he's actually going after, what the future is going to be for West Ham, what his future is, how he perceives the future to be at West Ham. Now, if they subscribe, I want players to subscribe to that and build into and buy into that and say, absolutely, I want to be part of West Ham. I want to be part of this squad. And I don't know how many of those existing players that would want to be part of it or would just think, I'll stick around. I'll stick around and I'll earn my money.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And they're the ones you want to flush out. Because I think the keeper, even though he's a quiet individual, he's happy to sit there and take his money, right? What's his name? Areola. He's on a big lump of money and he's not going to get that money anywhere else anytime soon.
A lot of players like that here, though, aren't they, Go? There's so many players that are being paid way too much.
We can't get ourselves into that situation, Chris. We genuinely can't. And but we have, and we do it over and over again, and we carry on doing it. Tomorrow is 27 and not a good age. No, I would say anyone that's over 26, because I'm cutting it off at 26, right? Well, ideally, as someone said earlier, you want 25, 24-year-olds, people who are just coming up to almost the beginning of their prime, right? Because it escalates and their prime is actually 27, 28, isn't it? You don't want to buy players who are just hitting their prime because there ain't much more of their prime left for a start, and you're going to pay a fortune for them. Whereas if you get them before they hit that curve, you're going to pay a lot less and you get a lot of money back.
Yeah, I agree. Right? I mean, you get the odd exception here or there, but in general, I would certainly agree with you. Yeah.
It's not an objective measure, is it? But it's So look, I mean, if we don't do this bit of business and do this strip down of this squad, even the minimal thing that I mentioned earlier with bringing in 5 or 6 real first team players, if Sullivan doesn't facilitate this in terms of let's go and get the business done early rather than the usual, let's sell the players first, because he's got a loan facility. He can loan the money. We can go and get the players and we can sell the others in our free time. We don't look desperate that we have to sell them, right? So because clubs will take the piss and drag it out. Before you know it, we still need 3 or 4 signings. It's the last week of transfer window. The season's already started and we're still playing with the Moyes ball team, right? And the Moyes ball midfield, because that's what I predict will fucking happen. If I'm being brutally honest, that is what I expect. And if you expect Potter to deliver something under those circumstances, I think you're being a little bit unfair.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with you. I had this conversation with a mate of mine yesterday about West Ham, and I said, I'm really worried that we could get relegated. I don't want to look that too far ahead. But again, if you look at the players that we have and the work that needs to be done in terms of getting rid, bringing in, integrating them into the squad, so many things here that need to kind of fit and click. That it could be worrying. I mean, you look at Burnley coming up, right? They've conceded 16 goals this season in the Championship, right? I know it's not the Premier League, but they look like a better team than the team that went down, a couple of seasons ago. The same could be said for Leeds United as well.
Yeah,
they're coming up as they're coming up as stronger teams than the teams that went down, right? From
almost
the Premier
unbeaten,
League.
right? Almost unbeaten in the whole season.
Yeah, and certainly better than the teams in the bottom three at the moment. They are
without a doubt,
much better. So ultimately, you're looking at, and I know typically speaking, teams that get promoted are usually the teams that kind of in and around the relegation zones, but there are exceptions to that. There are, and I think we're in a real dangerous, precarious position here, because if we do not make some fundamental changes to that squad, with those teams coming up, we could see ourselves in real fucking danger, because we are an absolutely disjointed team and a disjointed club, more to the point.
Doing the business, doing that business, the necessary business, pushing people out, bringing people in, doing that business is absolutely mandatory to give us a chance. It will not guarantee success still, because you make changes en masse like that. Not everyone you sign is going to fit in. Not everybody's going to gel. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be a settling down period. And West Ham fans, we know how patient they are. Even with, I don't know if it's a whole new team and you ain't seeing Souček and Ward-Prowse, maybe the patience would be there. I don't know.
Gail, two examples, right, you can use here. Two examples of teams that have made massive shifts in terms of getting rid of a load of people, bringing loads of people in. Nottingham Forest, they finished 17th.
Yeah, they did.
They finished 17th with, I don't know how many players, 20 plus new players they brought in.
Yeah.
Just about stayed up. Obviously, they've grown since then. They were lucky to actually stay up that season and obviously grow. And they've done very well since, great.
They got a better manager, better players, and they grew.
Yeah, and here's the other one, Chelsea. Look at the amount of players they brought in, and they just could not gel as a team. Guess who was managing them at that time? Potter. Right, that wasn't his fault, by the way. But that is an example of two teams that ultimately had pretty poor seasons. And what happened is, the commonality is they brought in a shit ton of new players. Yeah. It's very, very hard to kind of get them, at full pelt.
That is a good point, actually, that you raised about Potter there, because, mind you, he had absolutely no say in who that American was. Right, no say.
Loads of them were brought before him, so he just literally had the squad of players that. Yeah, do you know what I mean? A massive squad of players.
He's not a coach this time, right? He's a manager, and that means he does have a say over who comes in. Believe it when I see it, but apparently he does, right? And that is good. But say Sullivan does do the right thing, and we get the business done early. And we go into even the summer American tour with an almost complete squad. We can have a full preseason, the start of the season, bang, right? To me, that will be dealing Potter a fair hand, and he can be judged on what happens from that point on, right? If that doesn't happen, then I think we'll get relegated.
Yeah.
Even if it does happen, I think we'll get relegated. And the reason is, unless he absolutely turns it on big time, you give it 5 games and people would be hanging the price tag around his neck and saying, fuck me, all the money you spent, what a waster. I refer you back to the things I said earlier about him being useless and whatever else, right? If that happens and it's not 100% success and we start sinking down that table, he's fired by Christmas.
I could see that happening as well. So ultimately, this all lies on David Sullivan. This is where this is what it all comes down to, is him really backing the manager financially. But here's the thing, mate. We all know what David Sullivan is like. Let's be honest, he got lucky with David Moyes. He did get lucky.
Very.
When we hired David Moyes, when we recruited him to at West Ham, he was someone that no one fucking wanted. No one wanted, and when he left, everyone was happy. And when he came back, no one was happy. But then he had a couple of good seasons, obviously COVID, everything else, and suddenly it's like, okay, credit where credit's due. He did a good job at West Ham. He absolutely did. He did. I'm not going to deny that. Last couple of seasons, fucking boring, whatever, right? But he spent his time. He had to go, but he did do a good job. David Sullivan got very, very lucky with that one. But typically speaking, if you look at the managers that David Sullivan hires, what you tend to see is, but this is the thing for David Sullivan. He doesn't give two fucking hoots, really, as long as we stay in the Premier League. Hence the reason why, if he was really serious, if he was really worried about West Ham, none of this bollocks, we don't like firing managers. That's bollocks, right? Because when you really think about it, Graham Potter, he still held on to Lopetegui. They knew they were going to have to get rid of him at one point. When are we going to get rid of him? We'll get rid of him maybe a few days before the fucking transfer window. So Graham Potter's got a fuck all chance to bring in players that he wants that is going to improve the team. If they really wanted to help West Ham, you would have got rid of him in fucking November, right? I think it was round about the Leicester. Was it Leicester?
He didn't choose Potter, so Potter, given the chance, will be sacked nice and early, just the same as Bilic was, because he didn't like Bilic, right? and the same as Pellegrini. Both Bilic and Pellegrini would have kept us up. We didn't need Moyes to do that.
Yeah,
right?
I agree with you. I mean, I think Slaven Bilic, man. I mean, like he had a really fucking awful hand dealt with to him. He really did.
Especially moving into the stadium, Chris.
Mate, he got absolutely shafted. You know, we've said this before because the last season at the Bowling, we had a good squad, but obviously the debacle with Payet when he wanted to go on, when he wanted to leave. But again, I know we said this before. You know why? There's a lot of reasons why I could almost understand and respect the decision to leave. I know they said it was personal, it was due to his wife and all this stuff, right? But if you look at the fucking players we brought in that season, they were fucking shit.
Oh no,
they were so shit.
And God knows who. Yeah, I know.
You could bring in Pep and he wouldn't have got a tune out of that team.
I'm
sorry, Jonathan Calleri up front. Fuck me. Got Cantore at right wing. I mean, those are players.
Chris, look what happened. Look what happened in that season, right? In that season, in the summer, we've got no money. We're moving into the stadium. We've got no money. We just got to buy the bargains because we got fucking Europe, got all these extra games, right? He gets us to a certain points total, whatever it was, Bilic, and Sullivan decides, fuck him, I've got to bring my mate Moyes in, right? Because he's more my cup of tea. Brings him in, gives him immediately Bowen and Souček. And then Moyes achieves exactly the same number of points as Bilic did in the first half of the season. And people say he kept us up and saved us. Like fuck he did. You give those two players to Bilic,
it was after Pellegrini. You're talking about that was after Pellegrini, wasn't it? When he brought in Bowen and Souček. You're not after, but not after Bilic. No, you're right. I mean, I think again, you've got to give credit to Moyes on that one, right? I have to. With Jared Bowen, absolutely. I'll be forever, grateful that he brought him into the club because he's been, he's been fantastic for us. But
this is why they wanted rid of Bilic, by the way. John says he was too vocal about the move. Absolutely, John. And the reason he was employed in the first place was to get us mugs on side and get to love West Ham for that final season where it was always going to be emotional. And we had one of our heroes in charge and we were playing beautiful football and the world was good. And we were looking forward to the next era. But Sullivan couldn't wait to give him the fucking bullet because it was something we wanted, not something that he wanted. So he didn't back him and sacked him as soon as he could. Simple. Which he...
I think I'm so angry and so upset with what's happened at West Ham, as are the masses of West Ham supporters out there. And sometimes I don't forget about what was promised to us. Of course I don't. No. But I do sometimes. I take it like we always do. We look at the games. We look at every game week in, week out. But then when you really do analyze it, like we've gone through tonight, and you've gone through the history of the managers over the course of the last 3, 4, 5 years. But then if you look even past that to the time when we actually moved from, Upton Park to the London Stadium, there is so much there. So much there that has contributed to where we are now. Right. So much. I said before, it's all because of that little fucking wanker at the top with his Russian out. That's what it all comes down to. And my worry will always be, Gal, that we will just continue to fucking moan about it. All of the channels will continue to moan about it. The fans will continue to moan about it. But ultimately, the big one thing that we need to do is get that fucker out the club.
Let's be different.
Forget about the manager. Get rid of him.
Get him out. Let's keep our guns firmly focused on David Sullivan, right? And look, I got Simon Brewer's contributed quite a lot to my WhatsApp today. So look, when the 360-degree tour was sent out by VR, by Brady, even when you went and looked at your potential view in the stadium, it was all skewed. It was all bullshit. It was all made up to make it look better. Statements by Golden Sullivan, the difference, between what was at Upton Park versus the gaps at the London Stadium, it was all bullshit. It was, advertised as a finished project. We turned up, this fucking scaffolding and cable ties. There's bits of wood here and there, right? The view was nothing like as described. The atmosphere was fucking flat. There wasn't even a carpet around the stadium. Do you remember? It looked like you had the biggest pitch in the world. Big fucking green thing, full of local amenities. It was a building site. You couldn't get into any of the pubs. They shut Westfield as if you were some sort of terrorist, right? If you look at that, asset stripping, right? What has the club got? What does that club, the business, the entity, what does it own now? Players and a remortgaged training ground, right? So they've dragged this down. We have nothing going for us anymore. If we go down, people, this is the perfect storm for us because the only reason, it was quoted recently as Whetstone saying we're worth 2.2 billion. Like, fuck, we are, right? So that's some Mickey Mouse maths, some kind of equation, some kind of formula is used there. But we are worth the revenue that comes in every year and the value of the assets. And without the revenue, which is largely Sky income, and the high ticket prices you can charge in the Premier League, and the expensive players on the books, which is exactly where we'll be if we get relegated, we've got no ground. We've remortgaged the training ground and every other bit of land we've got. We've borrowed against TV money. We've borrowed against future transfer money. You know, we sell stock to new investors like Kretinsky to get cash flow. They even do share issues and stuff like that. They're desperate looking for new investors to pay off the latest lump of debt. We're still in debt, just like we were. You know, we've been whoring ourselves around the Middle East trying to get new shareholders. No one's interested because he stays in charge, right? And he insists on staying in charge. Major shareholders will not invest their own money in this, not even Sullivan. If stock is replenished and it's inferior, the company has zero assets and nothing to borrow against, right? It goes bust. So if we go down and we don't bounce back in the first 2 seasons, it's game over. We're going into administration.
Look, I mean, I don't want to think too far ahead like that. I do agree with you, by the way. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think we are in grave danger unless we make some significant changes at West Ham. Yeah. But look, you know, there's like, I love West Ham, Gail. We all love West Ham, you know, we really, really do. But I'm so kind of disconnected with what's going on with West Ham these days in comparison to what it used to be like. I know we had a bit of a laugh and a joke about me moaning about the whole Peppa Pig thing the other week and stuff. And yeah, whilst it's all funny and everything, but this for me is just like where football is just going wrong. It's all about fucking fleecing the fans and sucking them dry. You know, like the other day, like even little things that wind me up. You know, you see the under-18s, fair play. You know, big shout out to the under-18s for winning the Premier League. Right, it's great news for our youth team. But as soon as West Ham do that, as soon as the under-18s do it, I'm getting fucking messages saying, "Oh, under-18s want a message. We get free printing on the back of your fucking shirt." Like, it's like, fuck off. Like, all they ever want to do is take money out of the fans. That's all they give a shit about. The amount of, I mean, you know, like as a season ticket holder yourself, we get emails all the fucking time, about trying to buy more and more and more. Just keep fucking spending your money. Keep doing it. Fuck off.
Did I tell you about like the call I had this week? I think I did, but I'll tell the people on here because that'd be quite funny. But yeah, Kat, it's not about making people depressed because I'm not depressing myself in saying this. Is all I'm doing is reading out a bunch of facts. If we go down and we have to sell all our players and our young kids that are coming through, don't forget, just like we did all those years ago when we had to sell Joey Cole and Carrick and everybody else. Imagine that, another generation, and we're relegated and we have to flog all the fucking family jewels, family silver, right? Imagine having to go through that again and seeing those young players mature at other clubs and do well. How fucking heartbreaking was it last time? Well, we'll have to watch it again, right? And not only that, we'll have nothing to show for it because the club will be in shit. And if we don't return from an ultra-competitive championship in a couple of seasons, it's over.
Yeah, well, that stadium in the championship is a recipe for fucking disaster because what you'll find is it'll be the lower tiers that might be relatively full, but the upper tiers will be fucking near on empty. It will be because suddenly, and I can see someone put it in the chat here, you know, do you think the tourists will turn up? Well, no, I don't. I think they won't turn up because it's not a Premier League. It's not a spectacle for the tourists.
Yeah, I know you're only messing around, Kat, but the thing is, if the day those fuckers exit the building, and it will happen at some point, I hope there's still enough West Ham fans like you and me and the people who bother going, right? Even the ones that walked away, who once they're out the door, will come back and turn that into something, right? Even if they're in administration, fucking get together and put their hands in their pockets, right? Because, you know, again, I know this is hypothetical and future talk and everything else, but this is the way I see this, just to reiterate, if Sullivan does everything he's expected to do, it could go wrong. If he doesn't do what he's expected to do, it will go wrong. So there's 2 ways this could go wrong here. Yeah. So should we leave that there and talk about, let's cheer everyone up now and talk about Brighton tomorrow, the imminent away win. Right. Thanks for bearing with us on that, people. Let me know in the chat, all you people in the chat, let me know just 2 words, right? A couple of words. Just tell me, is Sullivan going to do the right thing and what the result will be? So give me a yes, no, and a relegated or stayed up. So yes, no, relegated or stay up. So give me what you think. Are you the same as me or different? I don't want to just, you know what I mean? What are you, Chris? Give me your answer.
If it stays the same, will we get relegated basically next season?
No. You got to say yes or no. Will Sullivan do it? My answer is no. And what will be the result of that? It's relegation. So that's me. What about you?
I think it's going to be fucking close. I don't expect a good season next year. I don't, regardless of whatever happens. Even if he does invest, I still think it's going to be a very, very difficult season for us. Yeah. I do. I genuinely do. Whether that would culminate in relegation, possibly, I don't know. I hope it doesn't, but I can see where you're going with it, and I'm inclined to totally understand and quite possibly agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly do not know. It just is. Put it this way, it's something that would worry me enough. The fact that we're talking about this to make me feel that it could be a reality. It could well be a reality. And I'm typically, and I'm usually quite fucking enthusiastic and optimistic about West Ham. But at the moment, and it's not just because of what's happening now, it's what's been happening for a number of years that has led to where we are now and where this could eventually lead us to. You know, all I really want, and I know this is going slightly off script in terms of the question you've asked me, and say, I don't know, maybe we could. But all I really, really want, and I've said this so many times, is the West Ham fans to be united and fucking go out there and support that team and the manager, because it's not the manager, it's not Potter's fault. He's got the job. It's not his fault. He's got the job. If he's the right man, he's the wrong man. It's not his fault. But fucking let's try and get behind them, because at the moment the stadium is getting worse and worse and worse. The atmosphere is dire. But I can't believe I'm saying this. Well, I can't believe I'm saying this, Gal, because you're talking like, you know, we've been going there for years and we're like, oh, the atmosphere's bad. It's getting worse. Like it genuinely is getting worse. I don't, you can hear people having conversations like fucking 15, 20 meters away from you now. That's how bad it is. It's embarrassing. So I just want the fans to get behind West Ham, support the club. Support the club, right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. It's through thick and thin, right? We always support West Ham. We've gone through some shit times over the years, but you know what? The one thing that's always been constant is the fans get behind the club.
Yeah.
The fans get behind the club, because you know what? The reality is, once Sullivan's fucking out the club, the players are at the club, the one thing that will remain constant is the fans. It'll be your kids, it'll be my kids, it'll be our generation. You know, those will always be. We're the owners of fucking West Ham. So let's get behind our club. And as much as this club isn't really the club that we grew up with, it's not the club that we were basically supporting back when we were in Upton Park, it's still West Ham United. And I just want to see everyone fucking get behind this and just do our part. We can only do our part. If it doesn't mean that we start getting results, then it doesn't mean that. But I just want fans to get behind the club again. You know, I think love has been lost with so many fans, and I understand and I get it, because I feel the same. But I'll still continue to go because I'm fucking crazy. I'm mental. I love West Ham, and I do a lot of it because of my boy. You know, but what can I say? That's what I want.
And so do I. And look, no, I didn't want to interrupt you there, because a damn fine speech. It was Scott Parker-esque. That was. I was moved, Chris. But no, good words, absolutely good words. That's exactly how I feel. Too many people are taking an easy opportunity to just twist the fucking knife and start shouting and bawling. And social media, this day and age, is part of society. It's an integral part of society. And so when you put something on social media, someone's reading that. Probably, maybe someone you're actually digging out in the comment is reading that, or their kids, or their wife, or they're this, or they're that, right? And whatever it is, it's going to have an impact on that person, because they might be quite wealthy and well off, but that is their job. And you know what I mean? One thing's for sure, especially where sports people are concerned, like footballers, anyone playing football, anyone that's performing at such an elite level like that, the one thing that does not help is caning them, is verbal abuse. Like Mavropanos, even though we don't think he's a particularly good footballer or suited to this system, I would never, ever boo him when he comes onto the pitch, boo him when he goes off. You know, we call them out on here when they make a mistake or have a bad game, but surely they'd expect that, right?
Yeah.
But if you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, which I think a lot of people are with Potter, I've got to be honest, you know, they've already made their mind up, as if they fucking know, which they don't. They're basing it on history.
Yeah. Can I just call out this comment here, but from Kat, just wondering how our kids feel about West Ham. Are they enthusiastic supporters? My 13-year-old is, but wonder about the others. You know, that's a really interesting comment and point, because I think a lot of the younger fans are kind of, I guess, are used to West Ham winning.
I really feel for them. I really
no. But I think a lot of them are kind of used, because they may have seen, like, certainly if you're talking like, you know, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, they might, West Ham's a good club. They won the European, you know, Conference League or whatever, you know, they've been doing well. They've got some good players. They've got big names. But This is not what we're typically used to. So I think, and now when you see West Ham slipping down and down and down. So with my son, right? So, you know, my boy's 17. I know your lad's like 23, like 20, 23. And obviously Rossi's a bit older. I think I've now, and I know you have as well, we've had these conversations with our kids to realize actually it's not been all fucking plain sailing being a West Ham fan. It's not. I've seen us win one thing in my fucking lifetime. You know, the year I was born was the last time we won something in 80. So I know, like, I try and educate my kids, well, to make them realize that this is, and Fred now, actually, by the way, he totally is like, you know, I know West Ham is shit, but he will still continue to support them because it's in the family. You know, you always continue to do it.
Yeah, when I was talking about giving up season tickets at the end of the year, Ross said to me, "Oh, I'll still get mine." And I thought, "Oh, fucking hell, all right, well, okay, I'll have to cope them."
The kids will do it, mate. The kids will do it as long as they want to keep going. You want to go with them.
He's like, what is he? He's nearly 30 now, right? So no, nearly 31. So look, if you look at the silly idea, the crazy idea, the happiness filled idea that I had last Friday in buying 2 really expensive additional season tickets.
Oh, this is brilliant.
Well, it gets you into a little exclusive club apparently, where you get a call from the people who are running the lounges and stuff.
Oh, he's got money. He's got a bit of money. We're going to go after him.
Yeah,
maybe get a bit more out of him. Yeah,
I got a call. I won't tell you from, but I got a call. Now, bear in mind, I won't tell you how much I pay for the tickets because, frankly, it's fucking obscene. But I got just so as you know, I've been in several lounges over there. I know the Forge Lounge is like the penultimate one. It's almost the top. It's not like quite the Chairman's Club, whatever they call that. And I've been to the bottom one, which I think is the one where you get the pie and mash. Forget what it's called, right? But anyway. She said, "Do you want to buy on a per game basis to go into this lounge?" Now, I know this lounge is literally, there's nowhere to sit. There's no free drinks. You get a free program. You pay 15 quid for pie and mash. It's all right. You listen to Tony Gale for 5 minutes and you go out and watch the game. That is literally the lounge experience. You can go in at half time and have a coffee. That's about it. That's the advantage, right? For that, they want 3,500 quid per person for a season. So 7 grand in addition to the 2 tickets I've already bought. It's like, you're all right.
And you obviously took them up on that offer, that very generous offer.
I won't be taking them up on that offer.
I don't know what kind of supporter you are, mate, to be honest with you. I really question your loyalty to West Ham. I thought you were all about lining the pockets of Sully and Brady. I don't know what
usually I would be. Usually I would be, you know, but fucking
they need the money, Gal. They need we need your money. We need your money for transfers, mate. Fucking put your hand in your pocket, you type bastard. Get those fucking get the access, mate.
Program each, so you get 19 games. It'd be 38 programs we'll get between us, right? For 7,000 quid. And literally nothing else.
No, you're wrong, actually. There is something else you get, actually, Gary, because I've been in there as well. You also get an A4 piece of paper with a team sheet on it, all right? You will get that as well. Yeah. That is worth its weight in gold.
Oh, yeah, especially because you arrive late and you don't see it any earlier than anyone gets it on their phone, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. Anyway, look, let's quickly, thanks for bearing with us, people. I know it was a bit of a long, epic one tonight, but I just wanted to make the point that please don't look past David Sullivan. Have a go at Potter if you want, if you've got reasons for it. But the thing is, I'm not going to tell people what to think. Think what you fucking like. But there is one person to blame here for even the fact that Potter's here, let alone the fucking diabolical squad that he's got that's unsuitable for his football, right? There's only one person to blame.
Yep.
And if he sacks him, that will be 3 managers and a director of football and a head of recruitment because Macaulay will go with him. That'll be 5 senior figures sacked in 18 months. That's a great record. Shows what a great leader he is, doesn't it? His fans don't want to blame everything. He's loving this that people are just fucking pointing the finger at Potter.
Attention's been diverted, mate.
Yeah,
attention's been diverted. He's happy, you know, sitting in his little seat with his fucking Russian hat on. He don't give a shit. Of course, he doesn't. Great
divide, exactly. And that's what us as fans, like Chris said in his emotion-filled speech, us as fans need to reunite. We can't be fucking hating on each other all the time. We can't be doing that. That's what ruined it for me. West Ham last year was just the hate, the raw hatred. And I know I might have been on the wrong side of that at one point. Arguably, I was. Right? I stick by. I didn't like Moyes very much, but I think probably I went overboard a few times. I did. I definitely did.
Hey, look, we all have, right? I mean, this is the thing. It's a very subjective thing, but sometimes when you get into the mode of negativity, you can't help it. It's just we're human beings at the end of the day. And we can only, say how we feel, and so it is what it is. But we just need to be more united. Really do.
Yeah, really, West Ham United. That's what we need to be. West Ham United.
I know. Not West Ham London either, mate. West
No,
Ham
no,
United.
no, fuck that. But let's briefly talk about Brighton tomorrow, and let's cheer ourselves up a bit, because again, I paid some attention to some detailed previews earlier. Luckily, they're on a terrible run of form. Who do you need to play when you're on a bad run of form? West Ham United. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's what you need. So we go to the Amex tomorrow. There is something that's going for us in this. One of their key midfielders is out injured. He's apparently the one that links it all together. Forget his name. Don't ask me for details. But he's the one that that really helps with the press and keeps it sort of organized. So very aggressive pressers, but apparently it's very sort of lopsided and inconsistent, a bit odd, and they leave gaps, which has resulted in a lot of counter-attack goals. They had a blinding start to the season, and all the way up until they played Nottingham Forest and got dumped 7-0. They were winning all the time. Then Forest figured them out with counter-attack football, and now they're letting in goals for fun against counter-attacking teams. So my point is, we've got counter-attacking players. Tomorrow is the day to bring Moyes' ball out. And we can do them.
Yeah, I mean they play what, like a 4-2 sort of 3-1, don't they? That's their typical type of formation. But then if you look at where they are in the league right now, and here's the thing that worries me, like it always fucking does. And you're right, by the way. We're exactly the sort of team that needs to, you would want to play when you're on a torrid run of form. But they've had a really bad month, mate. They've accumulated 1 point this month against Leicester. That kind of speaks volumes in terms of how they've performed so far. They're going to want to try to end the month on a high, but they're going to want to get 3 points, because if you look at where they are in the league right now, Gal, they're 10th on 48 points. If they win tomorrow, then they're obviously on 51 points, and they're suddenly banging contention for a European spot again. So this is a massive game for them. Right? Make no mistakes about it. It means more to them than it does for us. We're playing for maybe we're hoping our players play for pride. They're actually playing to actually get into a place where they can have some fucking European football next year. So it means more to them than it does to us. I think this is going to be a fucking tough one, Gal. I think it's a tough one.
I do.
I'm worried about it. I don't think we're going to go down there and beat them. I don't. I'm sorry.
No, I'm going to predict. I think we're going to get beat, but I can't predict a loss. I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw. What are you going to predict?
I'm just trying to think here, right? So let me just try and analyze it for what it is. Danny Welbeck, he scores more. Well, he has scored more goals against West Ham than he has done against any other Premier League team. He's playing tomorrow. Okay, that's always a fucking danger. We love players like that, like fucking Callum Wilson. They do it. So I'm worried about him. He's also called out the team this week. He called out the Brighton players a bit like Fulkrug did as well. He's done exactly the same thing.
I love Fulkrug for that, by the way. I really do.
I do too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that Brighton are going to get a reaction tomorrow. I do. And that worries me. I think they're going to beat us. I think they're going to beat us. I think they're going to beat us 2-1. I really hope I'm wrong. But I think it's going to be 2-1.
There's a lot of people supporting your prediction even before you said it, which I find uncanny, because they usually just at least wait for you to say it, before.
And then,
2-1 with Barry. Simon's going 2-0 to Brighton. There's a lot of defeats there, 6-0. I don't think we're not getting slaughtered by anybody. I always disagree with those. 3-1, Mark. We'll bore fucking Brighton to death anyway before they score 6. 2-1 to West Ham, says Claire. 1-2 says Obsidian Curse. Yeah, you know what? I've got a feeling we're going to do something tomorrow. I think we really need it. That's why. I think that was possibly a come to Jesus moment with Fulkrug last week. I think he called people out, and I reckon there was going to be a lot of embarrassment in that fucking dressing room. At least I hope so. I really hope so. I hope they gave them the kick up the arse they needed, and I hope Fulkrug goes out there and leads by example tomorrow and fucking puts them to the side. It would be the most beautiful thing if it happened. It really would, because we need it
tomorrow. I really hope he actually plays tomorrow, because I'll be devastated if they drop him.
Oh, no, they're not going to drop him for that. No, Potter weren't even really critical of him. He said, I'd rather people sort of speak private rather than public. But when they asked him, did you disagree with anything he said? Oh, was it true what he said? He said, well, some things, yeah. Some things, meh. I don't think Potter was really against it, to be honest.
Let me ask you the question, all right? Lineup for tomorrow. Bearing in mind, what we have available.
Wan-Bissaka's back. Yay. We missed him last week.
So what's your formation and what's your lineup?
Well, it's difficult, isn't it, right? Because I think I agree with you on Ward-Prowse. I thought he was fucking useless last week. They're going to press us. it's going to be very, very difficult for us to, you can't play Souček, for instance, under that sort of pressure, can you? I don't think. I'm struggling, Chris, to be honest.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Your formation, and I'll agree with it or disagree with it. Go on.
Well, okay. So annoyingly, I think that we probably will play a back five, because I think our defenders, particularly our centre backs, only play well with a back three. I think that will probably happen. What I would like to see, and this is almost irrelevant because it will never happen, is I would probably prefer to play a back four. Yeah. Even though I know Kilman doesn't play great as a back four, but I probably would, because I want to see us attack teams, mate. I do. I know you can say we're in danger of being hit on the counter, but I do think in possession and out of possession we can change shape, and obviously we can drop more numbers back as well. No,
they're in danger of being hit on the counter, not us. I mean, yeah, we're us too, but it's them. It's them.
Okay, all right. Well,
yeah.
Okay, so.
And they're not good defensively, and they're letting a lot of goals in at the moment.
So against my better judgment, I would rather play a back four. I would. I'd probably play AWB, Tadibo, Kilman. I'd probably most likely play Skulls over Emerson, because I just want to see young players get in. I think it just gets fans a little bit more excited to support West Ham when you see some of the younger players play. I know he's not been great recently, but he'll get better. Just give him some game time. These are nothing games now. Give him some minutes. Just give him minutes. That's what I'd like to see. I think I would probably be more inclined to play something like a 4-1-4-1. I would just go for it a little bit. Honestly, I would. So maybe I'll play that back four that I've just said to you with Ollie Skulls at left back. In terms of that holding role, I mean, I would have Alvarez in there, but I don't think he's going to. I would have Alvarez in the holding role, and then I'd probably play a midfield of like Bowen, probably Carlos Soler, Paqueta. I'd fuck Kudus off onto the bench just as a point. Say, listen, mate, you're going to fuck off anyway. You've got no desire to want to work your ass off for West Ham. Sit down on the bench and clean the fucking youth players' boots. I'll play Guilherme on the left-hand side, which you'd be glad to win. I play.
I'd like to see that.
I play the big German up front, mate. That's what I would do.
I'm just so sick. I'm so sick of watching that side of Paqueta. I commented that the previous week against Liverpool, he looked serious. He really looked serious, and he tried to put Liverpool to the sword, and he was brilliant, right? Last week, we go 1-0 up against the bottom side in the league, who were appalling, and he starts doing party tricks. Now, I know he played well, but it's against Southampton. It's against Southampton. He can play well in his sleep against Southampton, right? If he can't do it against Southampton, he can't do it against anyone. I'm not giving him any credit for doing well there. But the party tricks sets the mood to a party mood, right? Doesn't set it breaks that serious aggression and control. Not that we ever had it. So I hate that. It says he's taking the piss out of West Ham when he does that to me.
Yeah, Dean's feeling pretty confident. We're only going with 10 players tomorrow. Ariola, AWB, Jason, Tadibo, Mouth. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Oh no, 11. Sorry, my bad.
Can I just say there's only one way. Say some people like in the chat who have just listened to everything we said tonight and still just blame Potter and fuck Sullivan, right? He's got to go, he's not the man. Whatever, right? Think what you like. But if you were to sack Potter tomorrow, who the fuck would you get in to manage this group of players other than a Jose Mourinho, who you would fucking hate in 6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah? Who would you bring in? And I guarantee you would hate him.
Yeah, I don't think there's many great options. I mean, there are certainly some managers perhaps in the Championship. I know people call out Michael Carrick and all this kind of stuff, but I still feel that he's going to have the same problems that, any manager has at West Ham at this moment in time. Yeah. And if you're not going to be backed by the board, as well, then it's going to end disastrously for any manager that comes in. It will do. All from the top. All from the top, mate.
And also, I'm not even saying that Potter is the right man. All I'm saying is,
I don't know.
He's fucking been dealt a bad hand, and if people can't see that, you just sort of you're refusing to see it. You're doing it deliberately, right? Anyone with any reasonableness can see that.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, let's leave it there. I hope we fucking win tomorrow. We need to lift our spirits and give us something cheerful to do a shout back, because I'm sick of these miserable shows, Chris. Ain't you?
I am. What I would really, really like, and what I'd be really excited by tomorrow is if, he completely fucking flipped the script and basically put in, I don't know, Lewis Orford, put in fucking Andy Irving, because I honestly, getting rid of that midfield. Honestly, it can't get any worse, can it?
It would be backed 100% by most right-minded supporters.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Especially away from home, right? Especially away from home.
I
And
think
they
he's a
would run their
player.
fucking heart out for him, right? They really would.
I
And
think
away
Wolford is a
from
player, by the way, Gal.
Oh,
I
he
really
really
like the
is,
look of
Chris.
him.
He really is. He
Yeah.
needs to be an integral part of our team this year. He's fucking on fire, isn't he?
Yeah, great passer of the ball, moves the ball pretty quickly.
Yeah.
He's very intelligent as well, in terms
Yeah.
of his awareness. He really, really is. So I'd love to see him get a chance. He might be a little bit lightweight, but you know what? He's going to grow. He's going to get bigger. Throw him in. This is the ideal time. I would use this time right now because I actually think that Potter's got a really good opportunity here to get the fans on side by scrapping off the big, all the fancy bands, playing the young players and saying, you know what, guys, go out there and express yourselves. Go out there and express yourselves, and let's see what you got. And if if you're good enough to go and get into the team next season, that's what I would do.
I'm going to leave you with there's a couple of little comments here because look, Dyche, lol, yeah, and someone else put the other candidate to be Tony Pulis because the other one is Sam Allardyce. They are the three managers out there available for nothing at the moment who could get a tune out of this group of players and play counter-attacking, sit deep bullshit football, right? Because we ain't getting Jose Mourinho. If you sack Potter tomorrow, you'd be celebrating, and then guess who pulls up? Sean Dyche, right? And then
why'd you do this, Gal? Why have you done this?
You'd be fucking. Oh no, it wouldn't be 3 months under him. It'd be 3 weeks, right? Get him out. Yes, bring Pardew back. I'd settle for that. Bring Pardew back. Yeah.
The next thing you're going to say is that David Moyes is going to have a really shit first 6 months, and we'll bring him back next season as well.
I said that to you the other day. I know
you did. I know you did, mate.
I know you did. Never give up. Never give up. Giving up. Right. No, thanks everybody for bearing with us. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please, can you give it a like? Please give it a like because I ain't like making it very much because it's been miserable. But so that's the least you could do. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Really helps us, and hit the bell notification icon and all that other stuff. I think we'd go out to a little bit of old. I don't feel cheerful, so we're going to go out to a Sullivan piss take, which is I don't care because he doesn't. I don't care. He doesn't care. But you ain't going to get many tourists in the championship, Sully, are you? Thank you everybody in the chat for your lovely comments. Thank you all for watching. Chris, thank you to you as well.
Cheers, mate.
Great man. Tall, big words, Chris. Big words.
I actually feel a little bit better, and I've been feeling really ill this week. So I don't know. It's weird.
You blew off a lot of steam there in the middle. I want to leave you alone. I might make a meme out. Yeah, I might make a meme out.
Fuck off. It's all that negativity suddenly come out, and it's made me feel a bit kind of. I don't know. It's quite cathartic.
Market's face onto you.
Fuck off.
I am.
Right, you already mugged me off with a Peppa Pig shit, mate. So no, you're not doing it.
I sent you the latest offers on the Peppa Pig range, didn't I?
Mate, I went into the club shop the other day and I took a picture and sent it to you as well. It disgusted me. I walked past, there it is. It's fucking Peppa Pig shit.
It was outraged.
And it weren't on sale. And it weren't on sale. Not that I wanted to buy it.
Fucking hell. Anyway, look, thank you all. Let's hope for a win tomorrow. Please give us a win tomorrow. And if you're going to get on anyone's back, fucking get on Sullivan's.
Absolutely.
Yeah. See you soon. Come on, your wines.
Hey Goldie, what's on today's to-do list?
Why, it's match day, Dave. Are you hoping for a full house tonight?
Not too fast. As long as we sell all the tickets. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care if you come down here.
Make more money for the tourists here, so I don't care if you come down here.
Nathan Bellevic's got a boy for the night. His ex-missus said you better treat a kiddie right. Buys a kid a ticket and a burger and a Sprite. Got a train home, 200 if you like.
Cause I don't care, I don't care, I don't care if you come down here. Cause you make more money for the tourists here, so I don't give a monkeys if you come down here.
Not from when a pocket took a bully in the water. Never lost a rumble but he can't get sore. Climbs more stairs than he did before. What's his old seat, then he's got to pay more.
Cause I don't care, I don't care, I don't care if you come down here. Cause you make more money for the tourists here, so I don't give a monkeys if you come down here.
The cabbie only goes to football with his wife. He did it as a kid and he's done it all his life. But he don't get a winter fuel allowance anymore. We're gonna sell his ticket to a boat for Singapore.
I don't care, I don't care, I don't care if you come down here. Cause you make more money for the tourists here, but we don't give a monkeys if you're here next year. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care if you come down here. Cause you make more money for the tourists here, and I don't care if you come down here.